you can join your palms together and you can bow to yourself. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I would like to begin a short talk followed by our silent meditation. First of all, I homage to the Buddha, my master, the awakened one, the Dharma, which is proper and right, the Sangha, who are the examples of being right and proper. Thank you, dear friends in the Dharma, all of you here already. Thank you for inviting me to give a talk today. And I would like to give a short talk in the topic of generosity and mindful living. You know, Buddhist point of view, I would say there are 3 levels I would like to talk of giving. The very first thing, it says Amisadana in Buddhist ancient language, which means learn to give even a little. The gift of material things such as food, clothes, medicines to the needy ones, etc. So this is very surface level of giving in our Buddhist practice. And the second is we call Abhaya Dana, which is also called second perfections, second level of perfections in Buddhism, which means saving life, giving life to those who are in danger, saving life who are in war or natural disaster or fire. But even little harder is to give our own blood donations, or we might say organ donations, or not harming any living beings. Also called forgiveness, which is very important in our life as well. So this is second level of giving in our Buddhist practice, a little harder. And even we are not a Buddha yet, but in our Buddhist practice, the highest level of giving is also in sake of others' well-being, ready to give our own life as well. That is the story that Buddha tells us in Buddhist stories, in Buddhist literature, they talk about that. But here, the last level of giving is that the Buddha prays to give a teachings that inspire people, the teachings that people may need the most. And of course, in this country, we are fulfilled by all material goods, but we still feel lacking something. So in terms of filling that gap, we need spiritual life. And this is what we call mindful practice or mindful living. And this is what I'm doing right now, offering my simple kindness of giving, which is a teachings that the Buddha left on this planet to continue. As I'm a monk, so I continue that teachings, carry on that teachings with me. So this is what I can give. Let's say when we are little, boy or girl, we may not know how to eat or how to drink. And of course, there are always our parents taking care of us, to nurture us. And again, all we can consume our food is liquid food or milk per se. And slowly, when we grow every day, drinking milk every day, and we little bigger and stronger, and we began to eat solid food, and we continuously eating solid food, and finally we completely forget about the milk. And now we even do not need our mom and dad to take care of us. Forget about the milk. Therefore, I believe as a woman, as a mother, they know how to take care of the baby. As a man, I'm not sure I understand well that how can I take care of the baby well enough as the mother nurture the baby. And I'm sure the ladies can do a better job. So same thing apply to mindfulness. So mindfulness is a baby here. So that means not only woman has a baby now here in terms of mindfulness practice. We as a man have a baby inside of us. So now you can ask to yourself, how can you take care of your baby inside of you? Do you nurture him or her well? You can ask yourself and you can find the answer. How? Yes, of course, practicing. Like we're feeding milk to baby every single day. And now slowly it grows and need only solid food. It doesn't need milk anymore or guardians anymore. That is why we also call it, we are the master of our own now, right? That kind of thing. Therefore, understanding this very simple analytical concept, we can practice in a right way. As I mentioned earlier, dharma can be right and proper. There's no harmful practice for anyone. And of course, it's very difficult in terms of practice. Intellectually, we are all smart enough, but practically it's a little harder, like a baby cannot stay still. As we have been facing pandemic these days, and we never had a problem like this because we have to stay in one place for a long time. We thought like a couple months, but now almost a year. And what happened to your baby inside of you? Have you ever thought? Have you ever fed the food for your baby inside of you? And this is not only that baby gives you trouble in your life, which is also, of course, unhappiness. It brings you unhappiness sometimes. And when you feed the baby and baby start crying and start playing, and what happened? You feel happy. And again, what happened? The baby like to indulge by itself because he forgot about the unhappiness, right? So overloading. That is why it has to be balanced between. And in a Buddhist point of view, if you look deeply into happiness and unhappiness, it is just the condition of the mind. As a baby, like to play sometimes, baby like to cry sometimes. So we don't see difference between that actually. And that is, we can understand only through our lens of practice, through the practice. Therefore, it says, without dirty mud, lotus is not possible. In order to find happiness, of course, we need to understand the unhappiness first. Why the scientists discover light. Of course, we need to illuminate the darkness. That is, he found light. Therefore, same thing applies to everything. We can give an example to everything, such as water. Water can transform into rain, and rain can be cloud. Cloud can be rain again, become ice again. Because of our lack of mindful practice, our forgetfulness, we are not capable of recognizing the presence of the clouds in this new manifestation. We are actually caught up in the ideas of happiness and unhappiness all the time, most of the time. And we are back and forth, like a playing game, hide and seek. So understanding this, we may have no fear. As I said, water. When we see the waves coming and going in the ocean, sometimes big waves come up, sometimes small, and of course, sometimes tsunami happens, disaster, right? And when the waves coming and going, sometimes we may be afraid of. But when the waves realize that she is just the water, there is no fear of big tide waves or small. It is just the water. That's the realization through our practice. Same thing applies to our mindful practice as well. When we breathe in and out, all we need is oxygen at the moment. And again, we also know that oxygen itself doesn't exist unless it has to combine with something else, like non-oxygen elements, such as hydrogen in there too, right? Again, same thing applies to flowers. The beautiful flowers are also made of non-flower elements. When we are mindful enough, we will be able to see there are sunshine in the flower. There are fertilized soil in the flower. And that is a little far away to think of. And we can come back to ourselves, human body. And do you think our human body is made of something that we want? And of course, our body is also made of non-body elements. And I don't have to tell you what is it. Intellectually, we do understand very, very well. No doubt about that. Therefore, no matter what comes to in our life, it just comes and goes. There are a few differences is just the mental state. How well we practice and how well we organize our mental state. And let's say I'm wearing my robe. It is not because of I want to gain some respect. It is because I want to just practice to myself. A little bit selfish here, of course. But once I get that knowledge from my practice, I can give to others. It's very much like a scientist. Scientists, they always live in the laboratory and they never come outside world much. And once they found the, let's say, vaccine now, and they give it to people, that kind of medicine. So therefore, medicine in terms of mindful practice is our food that we need every single day. You can also ask to yourself that how many times a day do you feed food to your body? No matter what we eat every single day, is just feeding our mind, our body. But ask yourself, how many times do you feed your mind? Therefore, in Buddhist point of view, in the Pali literature, they said appamado amatang padam, which means mindfulness is actually the path to deathless, which is very beautiful to say, but practically, I don't know how difficult you can test. You can see and prove by yourself. That is very direct message in the Buddhist literature. That is why I'm having work to see, to test, to examine myself that what is in there actually. Out of all curiosity, I think I will be able to find something which is I never seen in my entire life. So that is how we test ourselves in terms of finding something which is beyond our knowledge of books. And also it calls spiritual, which is something new to us, right? When we experience something beyond our knowledge, we call it spiritual. And that's fine too. Therefore, in a Buddhist way, we call strive day and night, dwell in mindfulness. One knows the better way to live alone. And here is a very simple stories about the last days of the Buddha. He asked his disciples that, do you have any question to ask before I pass away? And most of the disciples were quiet. Perhaps they were busy sobbing, crying. And finally, Buddha just gave them very short message before he passed away. Okay, now I have to go, meaning he has to die anyway. And he gave a very short message after he's gone. He said, Vayatama Sankhara Apamadena Sampadita. This is actually in a Pali literature mentioned, so I just phrase it out in English this way. All things are disappointing. It is through mindfulness you succeed in awakening. This is my own short translation of this verse. Therefore, mindfulness is part of my personal life. And my understanding of mindfulness is to walk into it. And I see that walking on planet with mindfulness is a miracle to me. Thank you so much for today.